The Epic of Gilgamesh, Chapter 1, The King of Uruk. Before history had a name, there stood a city between two rivers, Uruk. Its walls rose from the earth like the edge of the world, and upon them walked a king, Gilgamesh. He was 2/3 god, 1/3 man, stronger than any warrior, bolder than any ruler before him. He built towering gates of bronze and walls so vast they defied time. None could match him. None could oppose him. And that was the problem. Power without resistance hardens the heart. Gilgamesh drove his people without mercy. He claimed what he wished. The people of Uruk feared him, and in their fear they prayed. Give him an equal, they begged the gods. Give him someone who can stand before him. The gods listened. In the wild places beyond the city, far from law and crown, they shaped another from clay and breath. The king who had everything was about to meet the one thing he lacked: an equal. Chapter 2. The Wild Man. Far beyond the walls of Uruk, in plains untouched by human hands, the gods shaped a being from clay and breath. They called him Enkidu. Hair like tangled reeds covered his body. His strength matched the river's flow. He ran with gazelles, drank from rivers, and knew nothing of cities or kings. Hunters saw him freeing animals from traps and feared him. Word reached Uruk, and the king heard of this wild equal. To tame him, a woman was sent. Through her, Enkidu learned bread, wine, and the ways of men. The wilderness fell from him, replaced by cunning and awareness. Yet his heart remained untamed, and his power undiminished. When he learned of Gilgamesh, something stirred in him: anger, curiosity, challenge. Two forces were moving toward each other, one born of city and order, one born of open earth. Their meeting would change the fate of men. Chapter 3. The Clash. Enkidu arrived in Uruk like a storm, wild and unbroken. When Gilgamesh confronted him in the streets, neither spoke, only tension, like the air before thunder. They struck, wrestled, and rolled through dust-filled streets, splintering doors and scattering guards. Strength met strength, fury met fury, and neither could conquer the other. At last, they paused, heaving, eyes wide, recognizing what they had never faced: an equal. Rivalry gave way to laughter, and in that laughter, something profound was born. Each saw in the other a reflection of his own power, a mirror of ambition and courage that could not exist alone. From that day forward, Gilgamesh and Enkidu walked side by side, two forces of unmatched strength bound by friendship and destiny, ready to face monsters, gods, and forests untamed. For their meeting would change Uruk forever. Chapter 4. The Cedar Forest. Gilgamesh hungered for glory beyond Uruk's walls. There is a forest guarded by Humbaba, he said. We will conquer it and carve our names into eternity. Enkidu trembled, but loyalty outweighed fear. They journeyed to the cedar forest, where trees stretched skyward like pillars of heaven. Humbaba's roar rolled through the forest, his breath fire and shadow. The guardian, appointed by the gods, towered over them. When cornered, Humbaba begged for mercy. Enkidu urged Gilgamesh to strike. The king raised his blade. The monster fell. The sacred forest shivered as axes crashed through trees. They had claimed glory, but the heavens now watched. Their deeds had crossed the boundary between mortal ambition and divine will. Chapter 5. The Bull of Heaven. The goddess Ishtar desired Gilgamesh, but he laughed and rejected her, mocking her past lovers who were broken and abandoned. Furious, she stormed the heavens and demanded revenge. She sent the Bull of Heaven to punish Uruk. Its hooves shattered the earth, its breath ignited the fields, rivers foamed, houses collapsed, and people fell as panic swept the city. Gilgamesh and Enkidu faced the monster together. They seized its horns, struck with blades, and brought it down. Dust and fire mingled as victory roared through the streets. Yet the gods, watching, were angered. One of the two must die for their hubris. Fate turned to Enkidu. Triumph became sorrow. Gilgamesh knelt beside his friend, realizing that even heroes could not escape the judgment of the divine, and that glory always carries a shadow of mortality. Chapter 6. The Fall of Enkidu. Enkidu dreamed of darkness, a house where kings and commoners alike ate dust, where bodies crumbled like clay beneath the gaze of the gods. His strength, once fierce as a lion, drained away. Gilgamesh watched helplessly as his companion, once wild and untamed, succumbed to sickness. For 12 days Enkidu suffered, cursing fate and blessing the life he had known. Then, on the 12th day, he died. Gilgamesh covered his friend's face, hands trembling, touching his heart again and again. It did not beat. Grief consumed the king. Fear entered him, the realization that even the strongest men, even heroes favored by gods, cannot escape death. Uruk had lost its protector of the wilderness, and Gilgamesh was left to face mortality alone, haunted by his friend's absence and the cruel finality of life. Chapter 7. The Quest. "I will not die like this," Gilgamesh declared, tearing his royal garments. Grief and fear drove him beyond Uruk's walls, into deserts, mountains, and forests untouched by men. Scorpion guardians barred the path, darkness pressed from all sides, and the wind whispered of death. Yet he pressed on, driven by the memory of Enkidu and the terror of his own mortality. Across the waters of death he traveled, his heart pounding, until he reached the edge of the world. There he found Utnapishtim, the man who had survived mortality. Gilgamesh fell to his knees and asked the question that haunts all men: "How may I live forever?" The immortal's eyes were calm, and the story of floods, gods, and fate began to unfold before him. Chapter 8. The Flood. Long ago, Utnapishtim said, the gods grew weary of humankind. Their noise angered the heavens. Enlil decreed destruction. Only Ea, the wise god, warned him, "Build a boat, bring your family, bring the seed of all living creatures." Utnapishtim obeyed. He shaped the massive vessel, sealed it with pitch, and stored food for life beyond the storm. Then the waters rose. 6 days and 7 nights, wind and rain tore across the earth. Mountains vanished, rivers overflowed, cities drowned. Even the gods trembled at their own fury. On the 7th day, silence fell. The boat grounded on a mountain. Birds were released: dove, swallow, raven. Only the raven did not return. Humanity had been swept away. Utnapishtim survived and was granted immortality. Chapter 9. The Test. "You seek eternal life," Utnapishtim said, his voice calm as the endless sea. "Then conquer sleep, for it is the beginning of death." Gilgamesh accepted, determined, sitting with eyes wide and heart pounding. 6 days and 7 nights passed, yet sleep, inevitable and unyielding, claimed him immediately. When he awoke, he denied the hours gone, but beside him, loaves of bread, each baked for a day of lost wakefulness, told the truth. Even the strongest cannot resist the nature of men. Gilgamesh bowed, understanding that some forces, sleep, death, fate, are beyond strength and courage. He had traveled to the edge of the world, faced the immortal, and realized that mortality is not weakness, but the defining boundary of life. Even heroes must bow before it, and wisdom comes in accepting it, not defying it. Chapter 10. The Deep. Moved by pity, Utnapishtim revealed one last hope to Gilgamesh, a mysterious plant lying beneath the sea, said to restore youth to the weary. Determined, the king tied stones to his feet and plunged into the dark, cold waters. Pressure pressed against him, currents clawed at his arms, and the black depths threatened to crush him. Yet he grasped the thorned plant and rose triumphant. Heart pounding, he imagined the elders of Uruk tasting renewed vigor, the old made young again. Hope surged through him, a bright fire against grief and despair. But the world is patient, and fate does not yield so easily. Though the prize was in his hands, the journey back would test him in ways strength alone could not defend. The plant's destiny, fragile and fleeting, would soon reveal that immortality cannot be carried, only glimpsed, and even the bravest are powerless against the currents of life and the cunning of the earth. Chapter 11. The Serpent. On the journey home, Gilgamesh paused to bathe in a clear, cool pool. Unseen, a serpent sensed the plant he carried, the gift of renewed youth. Silent and swift, it slithered forward, seizing the plant from his hands. Before his eyes, the serpent shed its skin, renewed and whole, disappearing into the shadows. Gilgamesh stood frozen, powerless, heart sinking, despair tightening around him like a vice. The hope he had fought for, the reward of his perilous quest, was gone. He whispered to the wind, "For whom have I labored? For whom have I suffered?" Mortality mocked him. Death remained patient, unyielding, unstoppable. He realized that no hero, no matter how strong or favored by the gods, can cheat the natural order. Strength, courage, and determination could not overcome fate. The world moves according to laws no man can command, and even the greatest king must bow to the inevitability of life's end. Chapter 12. The Return. Gilgamesh returned to Uruk, no longer the reckless conqueror, but a man tempered by grief, knowledge, and the weight of mortality. He walked the city walls he had built, tracing each stone, each gate, feeling the endurance of human labor, the echoes of love, friendship, and sacrifice pressed into them. He would not live forever, yet Uruk would endure. His name was carved into clay, his deeds sung through generations. The king who sought eternal life discovered a truth greater than immortality. Legacy, memory, and the work of hands and heart outlast the span of a single life. Mortality is certain, but what men build, protect, and love leaves a mark that cannot be erased. Gilgamesh stood at the city's center, gazing at the walls glowing in the sun, and understood that true greatness is found not in defying death, but in shaping a world that will survive after one is gone.